In this chapter, I'm going to show once again the ways the narrator presents his characters and the dialogical interactions and how he presents events to the reader. So, chapter 2 includes a lot of events which are totally different from the last moment when the characters are gathering for the first time. From the beginning, the narrator said there were differences between this meeting and the one held in the morning. Of course, he doesn't tell us what's that difference or what these differences were, but he's trying to make the readers ask themselves what the differences were. So he continues talking about the choir. When he said the choir, noticeably less of a group, which he's referring to the number of this group of boys. Also here the reference is not only to the choir boys but also to time. So the first meeting, in the morning, now it is in the afternoon. He tells us directly that the choir, noticeably less of a group, had discarded their cloaks. Now this is the first difference, which he before that refers to this. This is the first difference actually. Why? Because the last time we saw that the choir boys were so organized, so arranged, so ordered. Now this is the first moment that they are out of order just because of the leader is not present. So they discarded their cloaks, which is the first step of primitive behavior. This first. The reference also here is what is to weather, which is so hot. In chapter 2, the conch remains the a symbol of order and rules, so it is so powerful and valuable. Ralph lifted the cream and pink shell to his knees, and a sudden breeze scattered light over the platform. Ralph cleared his throat. It means he is ready to talk, wherever everyone is silent. A political reference is right away made. All the same, you need an army for hunting pigs. So you see here we have words just like army, hunting, and killing pigs. So we have moments and chances for killing, and there is an army on the island, but a group of boys are talking about army. Of course they are imitating the world outside. Jack insisted on the idea of killing in this chapter when he said, before I could kill it, it here refers to the pig that they encountered at the end of chapter 1. But next time, this is a promise that he is going to kill the pig whenever he is going to meet it. But also his expression next time is a reference for his power in order to be so powerful in front of other kids. So now he is somewhere in the lagoon, is trying to show that he is more powerful, more strong than Ralph. Jack slammed his knife into a trunk and looked round challengingly. So right away the next line shows to us this idea. Confirms the idea that he is trying to say that I am more powerful, and what you need is a person who is powerful, not a person with ideas. So of course here is a direct revelation made by the narrator, not by Jack himself. Ralph is a leader of ideas. When he said that you see, said Ralph, we need hunters to get us meat and another thing. So he limits the job of hunters to for food, nothing else. But later on we're going to find that Jack uses the idea of hunting to kill other boys, not only animals. Now Ralph is trying to distribute the jobs for the boys. So the choir is going to be hunters, and the most powerful on the island are the more dominant. There are moments in this chapter which refer to the ideas of civilization, order, ordered behavior against disorder. When Ralph said there aren't any grown-ups, we shall have to look after ourselves. So this is good till this moment. Why? Because they are thinking about the idea of being ordered and rescue. Other things Ralph adds here in order to keep things under the spectrum of rules and order. He said, and another thing, we can't have everybody talking at once. We'll have to have hands up like at a school. So rules at the beginning of chapter 2 overcome disorder. So civilization overcomes savagery. So this point is going to be reversed later on. The paradise, which is still paradise in chapter 2, is asserted by the three boys, Simon, Jack and Ralph, when they were climbing the mountain. Now they are telling the boys about the beauty, about the attractiveness that they have seen while they are climbing up and down. They said rocks, blue flowers. While we are waiting, we can have good time on this island. It's like in a book, Treasure Island, the Swallows and Amazons, Coral Island. These things refer to something important, that really the island is attractive and everything is available. And again, the idea of invasion is referred to in this chapter when Ralph said, "This is our island," and then the topic of domination is because of there is everything on the island, as if it is a reference to the adult world outside the island. When they are trying to invade other places, it is just because of this island that it is so attractive, natural resources of food and everything. So there is a similarity between the behavior of the boys here on the island and what's going on outside the island. There is pigs, he said, it means food. There is food, bathing water in that little stream along there, and everything. Didn't anyone find anything else? Suddenly, there is a change in mood from being optimistic up to pessimistic. When the little boy, that boy with the birthmark, pronounces the idea of a snake-like thing, beastie, of course he imagines the creepers when they are trying to get out of the jungle. Yeah, little boy imagines things, as if the creepers being pictured to him as snake-like things. But this little idea, which is laughable for the other boys, now it is a source of panic, and it remains source of panic for the next coming chapters. He wants to know what you are going to do about the snake thing. Ralph laughed, and the other boys laughed with him. The small boy twisted further into himself. Tell us about the snake thing. Now he says it was a beastie. Beastie? A snake thing ever so big. He saw it. Where? So here they are, boys, right? And right away we get back to the reference of that. This novel is about a group of boys. But you see that they are talking about beastie. Beastie here will be shown by Simon that who is beast here is only the boys. Nothing on the island which is called beastie. Jack tries to take the advantage of this point, the idea of beastie. Jack sees the conch. Ralph's right, of course. Ralph said before that there is no beastie at all. He's trying to calm down the little boy and the other boys. But Jack is clever when he said that there isn't a snake thing, but if there was a snake, we'd hunt it and kill it. We're going to hunt pigs to get meat for everybody, and we'll look for the snake too. You see, here once again he is pointing out to something about power. So the idea of making other boys seeking refuge or to be safe to make them feel that they are safe, and just because of power. A person who is powerful is the person who is dominant. So that's why he repeats the idea of killing, hunting, and providing meat. So he's trying to exploit the other boys' emotions. A moment of competition happens between Jack and Ralph at this level. Of course, Ralph was annoyed and for the moment defeated from the inside. Why? Because he find that the other boys were really attracted by what Jack has just pronounced. So he prefers to insist on the idea that there isn't a beast. Something he had not known was there rose in him and compelled him to make the point loudly and again. But I tell you, there isn't a beast. The assembly was silent, as if, okay, the boys were not satisfied with the idea of making them calm down, rather than assuring them by how powerful he is going to save them. But Ralph, of course, is a man of ideas at this point. Why? Because he is trying to think about how to make the other boys being rescued. So he said the following rule, that now we come to the most important thing. I was thinking while we were climbing the mountain. He flashed a conspiratorial grin at the other two. At the other two, it means at Jack and Simon. And on the beach just now, this is what I thought. We want to have fun and we want to be rescued. So, civilized behavior here. Now, this pronouncement was, of course, responded by silence, so he thought again. He thought, he doesn't say anything. We want to be rescued, and of course we shall be rescued. He doesn't tell them, okay, for the second moment. But you see that the narrator now intrudes, and he said that the simple statement, unbacked by any proof, but the weight of Ralph's new authority, brought light and happiness. You see that he doesn't have the proof, he doesn't have evidence how he shall, okay, get them rescued. So, of course, no, only words without any evidence. But, of course, these words brought light and happiness to other boys. Another idea came to Ralph now about getting rescued is the idea of fire at the top of the mountain in order to make the other passing ships or airplanes fight them. There is another thing, we can't help them to find us. If a ship comes near the island, they may not notice us, so we must make smoke on top of the mountain. We must make a fire. A fire, make a fire. So all the other boys welcome this idea. Here the fire is a symbol of civilization, a symbol of rescue at the beginning of this novel, but later on, and in the same chapter, we're going to find that fire is a symbol of destruction and a symbol of savagery, not civilization. Jack here is once again very clever. He exploits the idea of fire to break the rules. And when he said, "Come on, follow me," here there is a moment of disorder. From now on, disorder overcomes order, right? And civilization is going to be diminished in power. Rescue is going to be forgotten. So everything, even the power of the conch, is not going to be respected. Jack here knows how the boys can behave. The space under the palm trees was full of noise and movement. This is very powerful and very effective description made by the narrator when he describes the movement of those boys under the palm trees as if there is a camera on the leaves of those palm trees, describing how the other boys move just like a troop of monkeys. When he said the space under the palm trees was full of noise and movement, Ralph was on his feet too, shouting for quiet, but no one heard him. Here we have breaking for the rules, disorder, a primitive behavior, just like a tribe, primitive tribe, and civilization is not there at all. All at once the crowd swayed toward the island and was gone, following Jack. Now Ralph is alone. The other boys follow Jack, not Ralph. So of course Jack here wins. Even the tiny children went and did their best among the leaves and the broken branches. You see, Jack, was very clever to play on the minds of those tiny boys, because they find that Jack is really the powerful and they need someone who is powerful, not a man of ideas to save them. This is a reference to what's going outside the island. Outside the island is a world of power, not a world of thoughts. And did their best among the leaves and the broken branches. They hurry up. After Jack, Ralph was left holding the conch with no one but Piggy. Here the power of the conch is not working, and the value of the conch is lost. Now the other boys, following Jack to the top of the mountain, they started to collect the dead wood in order to produce white smoke. But what is important here is that how do they to light fire? They found the likeliest path down and began tugging at the dead wood, and the small boys who had reached the top came sliding too, till everyone but Piggy was busy. Most of the wood was so rotten that when they pulled, it broke up into shallow fragments and worthless and decay. At the return, Ralph found himself alone on a limb with Jack, and they grinned at each other, sharing this burden. Now there is some sort of agreement between the two. Burden, which burden? The burden of how to make the other boys, ordered and rescued. Jack is thinking about how to make them follow him, and Ralph is really thinking about how to make Jack and the other boys follow the rules. Together, joined in an effort by the burden, they staggered up the last steep of the mountain. Together they chanted 1, 2, 3, and of course, Jack and Ralph are trying to help the other boys by gathering the big trunks, so they are cooperative, as if they are really at work. Then they stepped back, laughing with a triumphant pleasure. So they are proud of their work, triumphant. Everything for them is a matter of war, of not to lose but to win. Ralph and Jack looked at each other while society paused about them. Society here is a reference. Here the narrator shifts from talking about a group of boys into a society, outside the island. The shameful knowledge grew in them, and they didn't know how to begin confession. So you see here, they don't know how to light the fire, but they cannot confess this in a group of the group of boys. Now it's only Piggy who realizes that this is really perilous situation when he sees the huge pile of wood that they collected. When he said, Piggy shook his head as if he doesn't agree with the idea of letting fire to this huge amount of logs, and came to the pile. So Piggy is really the boy who can see the danger that the boys are trying to be in. Especially when he say, "My, you've made a big heap, haven't you?" Jack is very clever to refer to Piggy's glasses as a source of letting fire. When he says his specs, use them as burning glasses. Piggy was surrounded before he could back away. This is savage behavior on the part of other boys, as if Piggy is being hunted by a group of primitive tribe members. "Here, let me go." His voice rose to a shriek of terror as Jack snatched the glasses off his face. "Mind out, give 'em back, I can hardly see. You'll break the conch." Piggy is the only boy with Ralph who respects the value of the conch. And you see that when the conch is broken, everything is going to be a disorder. So
Piggy, okay, now values the conch presence among the boys in order to follow the rules. And of course, they didn't ask Piggy to take his glasses. Rather, they snatched, especially Jack, snatched the glasses off his face. A very primitive behavior and impolite. The moment of disorder is later on the same page, is referred by the narrator when he said that was pushing and pulling and officious cries. You see, just like the behavior of other primitive tribes when the group of boys are really interesting themselves. The idea of being so delighted asserted on the next page. The boys were dancing. The pile was so rotten and now so tinder dry. Primitive tribe from time to time is pictured out to us by the narrator when referring to the behavior of this group of boys. That's why at the beginning of the chapter the narrator said that there were differences between this meeting and the meeting in the afternoon in this chapter. Then Piggy realized that this is really a dangerous moment when he gets his glasses back, and when he saw the huge fire. Piggy had settled himself in a space between two rocks and sat with the conch on his knees. Here, the position of the conch on his knees, it means rules are broken, the conch is valueless, the conch is not respected, is not followed. Simon once again appears as a man of thoughts, a man of respect and polite boy. When Jack attacks Piggy with the following words, "A fat lot you tried," said Jack contemptuously. You just sat." So Jack here is very rude, and Simon is trying to justify. "We used his specs," said Simon, smearing a black cheek with his forearm, "and he helped that way." So here Simon values, okay, the glasses possessed by Piggy. Piggy from time to time asserts the idea that he has the conch, so he has the right to speak, and I said that he is the only boy who respects the value of the conch. He follows the rules said before that at the beginning of this chapter when Ralph said that not everyone is allowed to speak at the same time. Only the one who holds the conch is allowed to speak. That's why he repeats the idea of "I got the conch," and but not listened to. Said Piggy indignantly, "You let me speak." He orders others. Even the idea of he tells others to speak, he is so polite. Now Jack pronounces the most important thing about order and disorder when he said the conch doesn't count on top of the mountain, said Jack, "so you shut up." So from this point, Jack is trying to say that rules are broken everywhere on the island, only on the platform the conch is working. Maurice said something clever in order to make the fire produces white smoke when he said, "Put on green branches," said Maurice. "That's the best way to make smoke." A clever idea, pronounced by Maurice. Jack turns forcefully, "You shut up." In response to what Piggy said, "I got the conch." He wants to tell them something, but they don't listen to him. Now it is time for Ralph to intrude himself and pronounce something important. When he said, "We've got to have special people for looking after the fire. Any day there may be a ship out there." He waved his arm at the taut wire of the horizon. "And if we have a signal going, they'll come and take us off. And another thing, we ought to have more rules. Where the conch is, that's a meeting. The same up here as down there." He is trying to reply for what Jack has said previously, that the conch is working only at the platform. So this is a very important reference to remind the other boys that the conch is working everywhere on the island. Though Jack agrees with what Ralph has said, when he said, I agree with Ralph, we've got to have rules and obey them. After all, we are not savages. The first reference made by the narrator through Jack's words, but again, Jack's words show how arrogant he is. We are English, and the English are best at everything, so we've got to do the right things. The narrator now describes how smoke was spreading very fast and out of the control of the boys, and now another damage is brought onto the island by the boys. Now the fire changes in value from being a sign for rescue, now it is a symbol for destruction. Smoke was rising here and there among the creepers that festoon the dead or dying trees. So fire destroys everything, not only the creepers but also the dead and dying trees, those trees that are about to decay. As they watched, a flash of fire appeared at the root of one wisp, and then the smoke thickened. Smaller flames stirred at the trunk of a tree and crawled away through leaves and brushwood, dividing and increasing. You see that the fire is out of the control. Here the personification indicated by the verb crawled, as if it is, a baby is moving here and there without the control of the other boys. The narrator continues talking about how the fire spreads when he said, one patch touched a tree trunk and scrambled up like a bright squirrel. Here the fast movement of fire is similar to the movement of a squirrel. The smoke increased, sifted, rolled outwards. The squirrel here, there is some sort of similarity, as if the narrator is really loses some sort of wording, that even the narrator is shocked whether he's describing squirrels are moving on the tree branches or really it is fire. Leapt on the wings of the wind, and clung to another standing tree, eating downwards. Another personified expression, the fire is eating, right? So how the damage caused by fire is referred to by the savage behavior of the boys. Beneath the dark canopy of leaves and the smoke, the fire laid hold on the forest and began to gnaw. Acres of black and yellow smoke rolled steadily toward the sea. Here we have what we have. The fire reaches the sea as if it devours most of the island. At the sight of the flames and the irresistible course of the fire, irresistible is the most important word here. Why? Because it is out of the control of the boys. The boys broke into shrill, excited cheering. The flames as though they were a kind of wildlife. You see, we have a lot of similes, metaphor, personification, expressions that indicate how powerful the fire became just because of the boys are boys. They don't know what to do. The flames as though they were a kind of wildlife, crept as a jaguar. Now we have a simile that before that the fire is described as squirrel, and just because of the squirrels moving across the branches. Now we have jaguar. The animals are moving downward and up the branches. So the description is so powerful and influential. It means that the fire not only on the branches but also downwards, among the creepers. It is so fast, irresistible, it cannot be controlled. Creeps on its belly toward a line of birch-like saplings that fledged an outcrop of the pink rock. They flapped at the first of the trees, and the branches grew a brief foliage of fire. The heart of the flame. You see, here we have another personified expression in terms of metaphor. The heart of the flame leapt nimbly across the gap between the trees and then went swinging and flaring along the whole row of them. Beneath the capering a boys. A quarter of a mile square of forest was savage with the smoke and the flame. The separate noises of the fire merged into a drum roll that seemed to shake the mountain. Noises of what? Of the fire. The power, the huge appearance of the fire, okay, produces noise. So how powerful, okay, how uncontrolled the fire becomes, okay, out of the boys' management. You got your small fire, all right. Piggy is now, okay, talking that he is mocking till this moment. Now Piggy asserted the idea of what of he has the right to speak. I got the conch, said Piggy in a hurt voice. I got a right to speak. No one listens to Piggy. Now you see the paradise changes into hell. Piggy glanced nervously into hell. A direct revelation by the narrator that the island now becomes hell, changes, destruction totally. We got to let that burn out now, and that was our firewood. Our firewood. Again, the idea of invasion or responsibility mixed is here. There ain't nothing we can do. We ought to be more careful. I'm scared. The moment of responsibility and necessity is right away pronounced after the damage. But rules are ignored when Piggy insisted on using the conch. I got the conch, ain't I, Ralph? The conch I got right to speak. I got the conch. You see, Piggy repeats the idea of the value of the conch in order to make others follow the rules of disorder and civilized behavior. A very important point pronounced by Piggy is how to get themselves rescued. Now it is night, so when he said, I got the conch, just you listen, the first thing we ought to have made was shelters down there by the beach. So thoughtful Piggy appears at this level of in the novel when he pronounces the idea of shelters. And remember, in chapter 1, Piggy is really keen observant. Now, of course, he continues to observe the other boys, okay, whether there is someone missing or not. When he said that, little one gasped. Piggy gasped. He's trying to talk, but no one allows him. Him with the mark on his face, I don't see him. Where is he now? So Piggy is really responsible for the other's presence. That little one that had a mark on his face, where is he? Where is he now? I told you I don't see him. The boys looked at each other fearfully, unbelieving. Where is he now? So the chapter ends with disorder, which is now the overcoming order, with the missing of whom? Of that little boy. The chapter also ends with a reference to explosion, when the narrator said a tree exploded in the fire like a bomb. You see, the simile here is very, very, very influential when he said like a bomb. Nature here suffers when the narrator tells us that tall swathes of creepers rose for a moment into view, agonized. So agonized means nature suffers and went down again. It means so nature here suffers and dies after a moment of